recently when I won three tournaments back to back, the people started like following, like, at least, I mean, there are a lot of people who just tell me, like, just can you just put up your diet plan on your social media or something like that, because I always mention the diet thing is actually helping me a lot to be a better person. Yes. And I always mention as a better person. Why? Because athlete comes last. Right. When you become the person, like the athletes or the personalities comes out of the ground, not on the ground. Okay. You just spend 3-4 hours in a day on a tennis ground. The rest of the day, you're out. Yes. It's all about the disciplines, what you eat, how you stay, what you think.
Hello and welcome to North Star by Vegan First, the world's most interesting podcast on all things plant based. In this series, we'll have deeper conversations with experts and change makers who are in vegan space, from celebrities to entrepreneurs, activists, and athletes, and more. So stay tuned for a lot of wonderful and meaningful experiences and interesting episodes. In this episode, we have with us Vishwajeet Sangle, India's first vegan tennis player, who is just making waves not just in the court but also off it. He has won many matches and has won three international titles back to back, setting new record. Through this podcast, we'll get to know Vishwajeet a lot better and learn about his journey as a plant based tennis player. So, whether you are a sports enthusiast, a health conscious individual, or someone who's just curious about the power of plant based living, you don't want to miss this conversation. Warm welcome, Vishwajeet. It's such a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you, Aniket. Pleasure having me.
So let's just start with the questions. Um, I would like to ask, know more about how the journey for you started, since your childhood, how it was decided that you want to become a tennis player.
Okay, so the earlier it was not a plan that I want to be a tennis player. I mean, my parents was thinking I should get into animation or like something into creative field. I was a good sketcher. I'm still now, but I'm not trying my hands on it. But they just thought I should be into something creative field. But there was not it's not even psychology or mindset for them to get into the doctor or engineer. But and I was staying with my grandmother, like not with my mother and father, like it's a small town called Fulton. So I was there, and there was a lot of free time, nothing to do, and just she just thought, like he should just get engaged somewhere. Yes. So, and as a kid, you always active a lot, like right. So she said, like just we can just try it out. And when I saw tennis first time in my life, I realized, this is me, like where I can actually express myself as a tennis player or as a human being. So yeah, then and there I started, like
Awesome. Were there any struggles involved initially, and how did you overcome those in terms of parental support or lack of guidance on training and all?
Earlier it was not from my parents, they were supporting. Even my coach also recommended, like he's pretty talented guy, you should just focus on, like
Yes.
like you should just give him what he wants in this game. And my father, and well, like father was like keen to like to watch me on the tennis court. He's quite like a sporty person, and my mother is quite supportive. Is like backbone. It's not like full fledged, but I think most of the time my mother used to travel with me during my junior tournaments. Yes. But yeah, and I think the system and the coaching system, they have a some rules. They follow by the book. Yeah. And that was a quite struggling for me, because when you're playing tennis, it's so expensive sports, and there are multiple things, the financial obstacles, the technical things, and how to execute. And I'm not coming from the sports background, so it's quite annoying sometimes, to just figure out like how I'm going to do it. And there are no at such big stars from the game, from the country. And I was not sure like how should I approach, and what kind of question should I pitch. But I go with my intuitions, what I can do. I mean, there was a Google was like quite hype in my junior time. So the internet was booming, and I was watching a lot of YouTube videos. Watching the interviews, what are they talking? Not only tennis player, but their coaches, even the management staff, what they do behind the scenes. So I was learning it, I was taking the notes, asking my senior guys, who played nationals. So that time I was playing, states and junior tournaments. I was not even dreaming to play nationals, by the way. I was not even that talented kid. It's like, okay, he's just holding a racket and here is a Roger Federer. It's not like that for me. But I worked really hard, like, and then I discuss with multiple people with my ideas, and I create my own game there and there. So yeah.
So that's a inspiring journey, and definitely it was not easy because a lot of research is being involved. So now we know that. So let's move on to the next question. When and what inspired you to adopt a plant-based lifestyle?
Mm, okay, so my family is not vegan, by the way. They like my father used to have a lot of meat. My brother still eats. My mother is pure veg. But I was playing my first junior. I mean, before that, I was switching a lot of products. It's a meat or sometimes it's a plant. I mean, I think when I was 15, 16, I was trying a lot of things with the supplements also. Like, you go out in the market, you buy supplements, which is suits you, what kind of a nutrition things can help you to be a better person and a better athlete. And I was searching a lot, and so I was playing my first junior in Russia, and I think the first round, I mean, after the first set, I realized, there's some issues with my breathing pattern. And I couldn't figure out, I mean, you're not a nutritionist, like, to figure out, like, the minute it started. But after the match, I called my nutritionist and I told her, like, this is what I'm facing. I mean, I realized it's not coming from the weather, it's coming from the food. So that's why I called her. Otherwise, I called doctor or something, there are some issues. But I realized, there's something in food. And then she asked me, what you eat for the last 3 days. And I told her what I eat, because in Russia, it's a hard to find a vegan food, by the way. And I was not wealthy enough that time, not sponsored or not even making so much money to afford a good food. So I was eating donuts, I was going with a milkshake, whatever the cheapest things. But she just mentioned me, there's a lactose problem and you should just stop drinking milk, because there's a breathing patterns and the whole dynamics is based on your food. And I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. And for the week, I cut down the milk. But till that time, I was eating meat, by the way. But I never see, any slaughtering or anything, the animal cruelty. But I went with my father to buy chicken. And then I saw this, like, the cutting the neck and all. I was like, okay, I'm not going to eat that, because I don't want to kill anyone. Because I always feel I always have a pets in my house. And I said, like, if I'm taking care of them, why should I eat? And then that's the only reason it started. But then after the month, I realized, it's changing me as a person also and as an athlete also, because it makes me calm. It helps me to focus much better, and that helps me to recover faster, because when I go with the plant, I realize the recovery ratio is good. I'm thinking really nicely, there's a deep sleep, everything is working in the favor. So I said, I have to stick with it, because as an athlete, nutrition or the lifestyle, it's not only for the sports. It's kind of it's your religion. You have to just follow that thing. So I started there and there, but I was 17 when I started this. Yeah.
So the next question is like just related to that. How has it impacted your performance as tennis player?
As I mentioned, it's all about, like, recovering faster. So I mean, it's not about a cricket, tennis, or any other sports. The best performer comes with the best recovery. And when I see, the recovery ratio is too good, and I stick with it. Yes. If it's not working, I might thinking about, like, what I'm doing. Right. But it stick, yeah. And then there are multiple things. I mean, I watched multiple documentaries that time also. Right. Doing so much research. What is this? How is actually helping me? And my grandfather was completely vegan, I think, and this is what I heard from the family. And he used to play, there's a called kushti. I mean, I don't know, it's so he used to play kesari and all. So I mean, this is what I heard from my mother. Is like, he was completely plant. I was like, okay, because I mean, when I was eating plant, I was not considering myself as a vegan, by the way. Right. Because I don't know anything about the veganism. Okay. And there's a one reporter from Times. He asked me the same question. What you eat in a day? Right. And I mentioned everything, and then it comes in the market like, I'm a vegan. Because I was just considering myself as a veg. Because there's no term as a, like, who's, yeah, this is not milk or nothing. Yeah, there's nothing related to animal or dairy. He said that calls vegan, and then the word started. Okay, I'm vegan. Okay, so yeah.
So that's wonderful. He was already a vegan, and like without any that no aware of the term veganism, he was following already. And I definitely think he Vishwajeet should be featured in the Game Changers movie. The way his performance is and powered by plants, so he's such a wonderful example. So let's move on to the next question. As a plant-based tennis player in India, do you face any challenges or misconceptions about your diet from your coaches?
Mm, Not from the coach, because my coach turned veg like few years back, and I told him the same. You just have to try it once, and he just tried it. And not from the coaches, but I mean, if I'm staying in the good hotels, so my manager can talk to the chef, like, what I want. But if I'm going to the restaurant with my friends, or with my other colleagues, it's so hard, because they convince us, like, if you're not putting milk or butter, it won't taste good. Oh, yes. But and this is it, like, it's hard in the restaurant things, like, if I'm on a tour, it's quite easy. My manager take care of it, everything. But yeah, here is a little bit. But I think things are changing. There are a lot of vegan restaurants in the markets. So, and most of the time I carry my own tiffin, so it's better. That's always the best. Yeah.
Who are some of your favorite plant-based athletes and why?
I idolize Novak Djokovic a lot from the game. Overall, there's a Rich Roll, who wrote the book of, I think it's a mile something. I don't know, but I used to watch a lot of podcasts, and he was talking about the plant-based things and all. Yes. And when the Djokovic shift to the plant-based, I was like, okay, there are people now, and there are a lot of people, but I think those two people I idolize a lot.
Absolutely. That's great. Like those are the champions powered by plants and wonderful. So, how do your non-vegan colleagues or fellow athletes react or react to your dietary preferences?
Um, I mean, recently when I won three tournaments back to back, the people started like following, like, at least, I mean, there are a lot of people who just tell me, like, just can you just put up your diet plan on your social media or something like that, because I always mention the diet thing is actually helping me a lot to be a better person. Yes. Um, and I always mention as a better person. Why? Because athlete comes last. When you become the person, like the athletes or the personalities comes out of the ground, not on the ground. Okay. You just spend 3-4 hours in a day on a tennis ground. The rest of the day, you're out. Yes. It's all about the disciplines, what you eat, how you stay, what you think, about your game, and everything really matters. So I always focus to how I can become, like, good person, so that can reflect in my game. So I mean, there are friends, there are coaches, there are few, I would say, opponents, but they are still my friends, and they're just like, what you eat. Yes. And I just said, like, just tried once. I mean, 4 or 5 days ago, I went to outreach for the vegan, and there is Supe. There's a small town. There are only 200 families, 40 kids in the school, so it's pretty small. Yeah. And I mean, I told them, just try it for 3 days or 7 days, and see. Yes. If it likes you, then just go for it.
Awesome. Like it's all of, I think it's all about the experience like we have. Just we need to start somewhere, right? So that's great. How do you ensure you get enough nutrients and protein to fuel your body as a plant-based athlete?
So I use trackers a lot. Okay. Just to count down, like, how many proteins I consume, what are the calories I burned, what is my requirement. And so, yeah, that's quite easy. Nowadays, like, people are using those Fitbit and like multiple apps. Yeah. And they get all the details. But we were following that for, I think, 11 years. I was using that band. Now it's not here. But, wearing some on my watch, or maybe like, there's plugs. So there are multiple things. But yeah, I mean, still, I mean, after this podcast, I'll show you, like, I have the all track things.
Some right. Wonderful. Can you tell us about your training routine for building enough muscle?
So I'm not like bulky guy, but I'm like, lean. I just prefer to be like that. That if I get little huge, that will change my speed on the ground. Yeah, I mean, he's too lean. Yeah, I'm not that lean, right, by the way. I have certain muscles, but it's just a morning crossfits. Noon there is a tennis practice. In the evening we have some mobility or like little bit of strength training. So whole day is surrounded by that. It's so you can see a lot of workers who's working in the construction line. They have such a massive build. They just work every day. They don't go to gym. So this is me. So yeah.
Awesome. How do you manage your meals while traveling for tournaments, especially in places where plant based options may be limited or even not existent?
Most of the time, a manager or coaches, they just discuss, like, which place we are going to stay. Yeah. So I'm staying in a good place, where the chef is good, like, they can talk about it, like, just whatever I eat. But if I'm traveling by bus or car to certain areas, I just carry my protein bars, tiffin, and protein shake. Yes. So I just care about, like, what I'm eating. Okay. If I'm hungry, then it's not gonna. I would say, it would bother me while playing. It has to be that focus, like, what I eat. That is so important. Yeah. Yes. And I have to just take care of my meals. I never skip a meal. Okay. If I'm skipping also, my mother also had the same tracker in my phone. Like, she got to know that I didn't eat. Yeah, so she texts me, like, I can show those messages, like, in Marathi, like, Jevlaska. So I was like, okay, yeah. And she got to know, like, okay, she knows it. So I have like multiple people, like, did you eat? Awesome. And even my friend, I was talking to, like, one of my friend, and he just asked me, like, are you out from this morning? Did you eat? I said, yeah, I might eat after some time. No, no, eat first. So there are like a lot of people who ask me the same question, because in the work you just skip the meals. But yeah, I have a lot of people to remind me.
Absolutely. So no worries at all. And even like, the best tracker is moms. Yeah. So definitely, that was really great to know. So how do you take care of your mental health, especially when you lose a match?
Luckily, I haven't lost like for last 5 years. But if maybe, I'm not sure. Let's say if you don't win. I don't visualize that self, but if that happened, then I don't know. Maybe I'll think about it, like, what went wrong. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, that's the only problem that I have. My team members and my close friends said, like, you go a little hard on yourself most of the time. If I'm not working, like, there are like 8 reps I'm doing. Right. Okay, after 6, your body starts shivering. You don't want to push. Right. But I just push for like more 4. Yeah. And then there was like, you just go a little hard on yourself, so don't be hard. So that's the only tip I just consider if I lose.
Right, right. Just
Which I don't think so.
So it's important, like, even if you lose a match, the self talk really helps and staying motivated, like, and pushing the limits. So the next question is, who's your biggest inspiration and why?
50% parents and 50% is me now. I don't say, like, like, there are my inspiration, this thing and that thing, because I think it's you who's going to change everything, right? And if you visualize yourself in a better position after some months, after some year, and you started idolizing him, I want to become like him. If I'm hitting like serve around 180 or 200, whatever it is, I just idolize, like after 3 months I'm going to cross that speed. And I'm still like in the process, like, I want to become like this person, and the best thing is, like, when you started working on yourself, you started loving yourself a lot, like, okay, I want to become like this. And it comes from my parents, by the way. My parents never give up on my dreams and their dreams. They helped me a lot. They taught me such a good things. That's why I'm here. This all upbringing thing. So the patterns, like everything. So I always look up to my parents. Whatever they did, whatever they're doing, and yeah. It's okay.
Wonderful. What advice would you give to aspiring athletes who are interested in adopting a plant based lifestyle but maybe hesitant to make that switch?
Okay, so there's a why there is a myth, because people think it's expensive. People think vegan diet is so expensive, because it's like, I mean, it's veganism is not about like avocado toast or like eating other things, but it's just cut down the dairy and the meat products. That's it. That's a vegan. So I would say just try, because all the people, I mean, if you go to the rural areas, they don't have a lot of meat and milk. They eat only veggies. So, and their recovery habit is such a good, they have a good sleeping patterns. They work 12 hours a day, more than us. So I said, like, just give it a shot. I never forced anyone, like, just try. Eat. And I think so. I will never do that in my future also. Like, I'm going on a camera and telling, like, eat. I would say try, because you're not the one who's gonna force them. I don't want to be that guy, like, the 0 to 100 wala. It's just like, this is my life. I'm eating it. If you like it, give it a shot. But I would say, this is gonna help you. That's what I can say. So, but I say just give it a shot.
Right. I hope like people take inspiration out of it, and he's setting an example. So just by if we look at the performance or the success, so I think people would definitely give it a shot. Can you share some secrets of tennis players that they don't like to address or talk about in terms of following a plant-based diet as an athlete?
So media functions in the manner, like, they really care about the image. If you're endorsing such a brands, who's actually using leather, who's using animal products, how they can go against that brand? Because end of the day, they're making money. But it's I think it's a they have a both sides, I would say. It's all about like how athlete wants to talk to their fans or to other people, what they really wanted to convey. There are a lot of athletes who, I mean, in the American football also, they comes with the beer. What they really wanted to pretend, or what they really wanted to convey to the audience. Just be relaxed or something like that. Maybe their way of saying. Some people comes with a protein shake. Okay, some people just sit and they talk about, like, what I eat, what I'm going to do. So it's all about, it's a personal thing. Yeah. So as athlete to athlete, but it just, there's a endorsement part is a different, personal life is different. So yeah.
Okay, so people have major concerns about getting enough iron, calcium, protein, and vitamin B12 when they shift.
I mean, everything comes with a substitute. Like, I mean, it's just like a car. If you don't like that car, there is another option. So you just have to find the right person, right? Who can guide you. People go to the gym, and most of the trainers are not even highly qualified to give you a diet plan, and they tell you, like, you have to eat egg, milk for that. And if you go to the right nutritionist, or I mean, in the Google things also, there are a lot of websites also, who can help you to make your diet plan. So I would say just go with the right people. I mean, there are multiple cases recently I heard, like, this guy was struggling with this pain, and he saw some YouTube video, and then he tried this, the home remedies, and now he's in ICU, or maybe in the something in the serious, because they comes with the, like, they just search on the YouTube and, okay, this guy's talking about this, I'm gonna try. You don't know your body, okay? Go do your checkup, take your blood samples, ask your nutritionist, what are the things that that they can help. If you're high with the sugar, you're gonna eat or you're gonna drink a lot of things, it's gonna affect. So just find the right people and go with the right guidance.
How can the younger generation, or what would be your message to the younger generation that are aspiring to become a tennis player?
I would say read a book, but don't go by book. Just create your own path. First of all, understand your body, understand where are you coming from and where you really wanted to go. Make a vision, make a plans, and start acting on it. Like, there's only 1% dream, 99% is hard work. So if you want to make it, create your own plan and start working for it. So yes, that's a very important message for the younger generation. Lastly, what is your North Star? I mean, ultimate mission and destination in your life. I got like brilliant advice like 6 7 months ago. I always work as a project thing. When there's a tournament, I started working for like 1 or 2 months prior, and after the tournament, I'll be like, okay, what is next now? When it comes about my company, I think about like which event we are going to manage. So this is like project, and one of my friends just gave me the advice, just start working on yourself every day. It's going to be the unfinished project for you, and that's the only thing. That's the my mission, like to be a better human being every day. If I'm And that's the motivation, when you get up in the morning, like okay, I want to be the better person and I have to improve. So that's the only motto. I don't think I can see I have to achieve this, I have to do this. Everything comes with the right time, with the right things, like and you just have to be prepared and be nice for those things. So, yeah. Yes, definitely. Like, we should make sure that we are doing better than yesterday. So I think we had a very wonderful insights out of this conversation. So thank you so much, Vishwajeet, for joining us, taking out your time and really inspiring us all and our audience as well. So yeah, thank you so much. Signing off with lots of sustainable love, guys. We'll see you soon in the next episode. And till then, take care, all of you. And don't forget to subscribe to Vegan First. And please like, share, and comment below, and let us know your thoughts. Thank you so much. Okay, so sir, let's take a picture for the North Star Wall of Fame.